Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. You are tuned into Inspire FM 105.1 FM. It's Friday, 21st of November, and the time has now just gone 10 o'clock. Welcome to Mother's Planet, a show where there is always something to talk about in a productive and beneficial way. I am your host, Neelam, and joining me in the show this morning is my guest, Shamiza. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
And how are you?
Very well.
Are you keeping warm?
I'm trying my very best
Yeah.
to keep warm, but you know when you're perimenopausal, that helps.
That's a whole show in itself. We'll have to come back on air with that on another show, because talking about perimenopausal, the things that I've woken up to is amazing.
So I'm that allows me to stay warm, quite warm actually. So
Oh.
when people ask me, why are you in like one layer? I'm like,
Yeah.
because I get so warm. And I'm so glad I can confidently say that.
Yes.
And
yes.
definitely on your show.
Yes, it has its benefits as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because we often moan about it, but come winter, it's actually quite nice.
But we're talking more about it. And I think your show I'm really excited to be on your show. I've been listening in. It's one of my favorite shows. So thank you for having me here today. I'm a fan. I'm an absolute fan.
Oh, thank you, Shamiza. And you know what? It's such a pleasure having you, because you are the true one and only female voice of Inspire FM. You were the first to, come on air and everything. So, you opened the platform for ladies like us. So,
bless you. I think I was one of many, alhamdulillah, but I think, and I'm super inspired by everybody, and everybody's kind of made it their own. And I think this is really important to say that opportunities are there for the taking.
Absolutely.
And community radio is the perfect space for that.
Yeah.
And mashallah, your show is a flagship show. We've got various other amazing presenters like Imrana and so many others coming through as well.
Yeah.
Laura on like the arts and news and culture show.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's very exciting to have that platform. My husband's very happy because he doesn't have to hear me talk. I can come and talk on air, and I just let it all out here, so he doesn't have to listen to me. So listeners, it's been a chaotic week. I did mention last week in my show that we're going to go from the double digits down to single digits, and it was just lip service, I think. And then on Monday morning, when I actually felt the single digits, I thought, wow, this is cold. And then we were blessed with snow. And the chaos that it caused in the town.
Well, I had a day off, so I was able to sit in my kitchen and just admire the snowflakes coming down. The excitement in the house was just lovely. And then watching everybody taking those pictures and putting them on social media is always pleasant and plentiful. But I enjoyed it because I didn't have to go anywhere.
I was just going to say, it's nice if you could just be at home, but we had places to be, things to do. So it naturally caused the disruption of the day. We had an accident at the bottom of my road where there was a car that was stuck and couldn't actually get it, because I live on a hill, so it was quite steep for this car to go up, and every time it went up it was just sliding back down. And so I thought, I'm not going to take my car, I'm just going to walk to school, but I wore the wrong footwear, so we got to pretty much 20% of my school journey with my son, and my feet were drenched, my toes were ice cold, and I gave up. I thought, I'm not going to venture out on this journey anymore. I'm going to turn around and come back home. So I phoned the school and I told them to just give my son home learning, because I'm not walking in the snow, and neither am I driving in the snow. I actually bumped into a friend at the zebra crossing, and she said to me, go. She was in the car. She said, go back home. I've been on the road for 2 hours.
Oh my goodness.
And she said, go back home. It's not worth it. And so I thought, I'm not, I've got poorly children at home as it is anyway. And I thought, I'm not going to make myself unwell walking in this snow. So we turned around and we came back home. So that was it. Now, listeners, I just want you all to know that we are live on air, reaching out to all our listeners in Luton and surrounding areas through the airwaves at Inspire FM 105.1 FM. We are also streaming live on the Facebook page, where you must give the show a thumbs up and can also comment on today's topic. As always, I am taking in WhatsApp and text messages on the studio number 07779 481 822. I still have to double check that number every time I say it.
I had to look over and I believe I sometimes add an extra 7.
Yes, I think that's where I go
It's my
wrong as well. So listeners, yes, please do share your thoughts on the weather or on today's topic. Now, I'm really excited to introduce the topic of the show today. Shamiza has introduced an exciting project for the community, and it's got a bit of connection to both of us, where it's sort of waking our heritage a little bit, and coming from a generation where I've not really explored Kashmir myself. I've probably gone there a handful of times, and my children now are reaching that age where they are asking questions and saying, when are we going to go? And I'm like, yeah, I've got very bad memories of it. But my siblings went very recently to Kashmir and have come back and said it's just amazing. It's very scenic, and it's just it's not like what we remember it as a child. So I'm very excited about this project. It's from the valleys of Kashmir from valleys to you introduce it, Shamiza.
I shall
Yes.
introduce it. Thank you so much for that introduction. And it is quite a personal project. It's a personal passion project, because it is reflecting on heritage, and the heritage is of the Kashmiri community. And as we can appreciate, and we are aware of, that Luton has a healthy number of Kashmiris living here. It's quite a large diaspora, mashallah. And they have had a lot of legacy, and a legacy that we should take pride in. And we should recognise and appreciate a legacy that needs to be, people need to be reminded of. So the project is called From Where We Belong and Now. No, From Where We Come From and Now We Belong.
Okay.
And it's valleys to Vauxhall and the journeys of the Kashmiris. And this is my working title. It's a project that is going to become an audio digital exhibition, inshallah, which will be created from the archiving of memories and stories and snippets from the community. So this project is for the community, by the community. And there'll also be a very interesting strand, because there's going to be an element of Bahari poetry. And I was quite amazed by the growing appreciation and appetite for Bahari poetry. I didn't know it even existed.
Wow.
The thing about our culture, as hailing from Azad Kashmir, we do emulate a lot of like the Pakistani culture, but we have our own culture which needs to be explored. And I think what makes us different to the Pakistani community is the fact of our language, which is a dialect of Bari. There is also a history behind that, and that's what I'm going to be exploring too. And I came across this amazing woman called Nabila Ahmed, who is based in Bradford, and she does Bari Mashairas, which is a collection of people coming together and like sharing their poetry in Bari. And the amazing thing is that she's published a book with the contributions of the younger and older generation contributing to this poetry published book. So, and her reasoning, just like mine, is it's a language that potentially could die out.
I was just going to touch on this, Shamiza, because my daughter's studying linguistics at university, and her university is linked with SOAS as well. And part of SOAS's project at the moment is nurturing those languages that are disappearing.
Yes.
So they are doing what they can to nurture these, and Bahari is one of them, because growing up, I was always I was a bit embarrassed, to say about speaking my language, because it's only a language that's spoken. It's not actually written.
Indeed.
You can't write it, you can't read it, and if it is written and you have to read it, it's all done in Urdu. So it took the people understanding the verbal side of it away. So now my daughter's found this out, that Bahari is one of those languages that's going to disappear. She's eager to learn it.
And I love that. I love the fact that the younger generation academically are taking the ownership of it, because I interviewed another fantastic scholar, her name, and she's actually at SOAS doing an MA in like it's around heritage, and she's doing a project about the Kashmiri community too. The fact that the younger generation are really trying their best to encapsulate this heritage. And we are privileged, Neelam. And I think a lot of people of our age bracket, we were literally like not allowed to speak English growing up. So I was actually taught Urdu. My parents taught me Urdu. So Urdu is my first language. And yet Pari is my parents' dialect. And there is also another dialect that we can trace back to as well. So, and there was this, everybody would speak to me in Urdu, and I felt that I gained this sense of like entitlement, or I was viewed differently because I spoke Urdu. Like I was treated differently because I spoke Urdu compared to my other extended family. It's like, oh, and I just had this sense that people associated Bari with being uncouth, or I shouldn't use this term, uncivilized, or unbar, or jail. And I'm like, and this is, I think, a common trend that I'm hearing people mentioning, oh, this is how we've been described, or we would be embarrassed to speak it, and we wouldn't want our parents to speak to us in this language when we're outdoors. We were embarrassed. Like, where does this embarrassment come from? How is that?
It's a shame, really, isn't it? That language was dictating who you were. I grew up in London, and in London, the Kashmiris were very sparse. We were not very much seen. And my mum's friends were all from Islamabad, Lahore, so they spoke either Urdu or Punjabi. So we grew up with those two languages being our language to speak to the aunties. That was the language we grew up speaking. And when I got married and came to Luton, I remember being out in Bury Park, and I was just picking up some vegetables, and I could hear conversations in Bahari, and I was like, oh my God, I want to not listen, but I can understand everything. And it just felt so strange to be in that environment, because I thought, I've grown up and gone to places and shopped, and everyone's speaking Urdu, English. Bahari was just never spoken. So when I came to Luton, it was a real shock to, I had to put my fingers in my ears, because I thought, I can't believe how many people are speaking Bahari. It was so amazing to hear, but it was just so, I felt a bit a part of the community then, because I thought all these years growing up, it was a language that we sort of turned away from because nobody understood us. And then coming here and then hearing everyone speak it, it's like it's the norm. So it felt very strange.
Very strange and very inspiring, I think, because going back to the topic of like the show, that it is a language that potentially will die out unless we don't claim it. And a lot of us unfortunately have not been able to share the language over to our children, because English is we both parents speak English in the home, like even grandparents who would educate their children not to speak English at home are now speaking it fluently to the grandchildren. I'm like, the double standards is crazy. But what I absolutely love, for me, it's like the connection of it's that connection between my grandparents, because both sides of my mother and father, their parents have passed away. So it's the only thing I have that holds me on to my heritage. And it worries me that it could potentially get lost. So that's why this project is very, very important. And also, I have to say, it's Heritage Horizons, it's University of Bedfordshire. It is a heritage funded project, and I'm really grateful that a subject like this has been considered worthy of funding, and it is a responsibility on my shoulders, because it's I am a little bit nervous, only because it is it's an area I've not explored. I've done a lot of projects, produced them successfully around social inequality and social injustice, and I've been recognized for that work nationally, but this is kind of more personal. And I'm actually not born and bred in Luton. I'm not from Luton. My children are born here. So that's an added layer where, oh my gosh, I need to make sure that I do this project so that it not just leaves a legacy, but those around me, I'm honoring their truth. And how am I going to honor that truth? So it will be images I would invite people to kind of share with me, of old photographs of their journeys from Azad Kashmir coming here. I mean, there's loads of things that the Kashmiri community are very passionate about. One is cricket.
Yes.
Cricket. The other is like the food industry.
Which is ironic, really, because it's the Pakistan team that play
that's
cricket.
what I was thinking about that. It's like, how did that cross over? The Kashmiris that come over are very passionate about the cricket, and those that have settled here. That's a very Kashmiri centric thing, I think. Also the food industry, you know, the first takeaways that were open here. I mean, we've got a lot of Kashmiris, obviously, you know, in taxis. And this is the male side of things that you can potentially contribute and share images. There is like a WhatsApp number, you know, if you want to know further information about the project. There will be workshops that are going to be held at Dallo Community Centre come December in the evening on Monday. So you can share like your pictures here. They'll be protected, they'll be saved, looked after, and then those images will be used to create the final exhibition piece. There'll be some audio taking. I'll be recording stories. I'll be going out in the community, also capturing the voices of the first, inshallah, the first community that came over here, our older generation, who unfortunately are passing away. So we need to kind of share their stories. And I also, I want to kind of look at, you know, what did life look like in the 70s, 80s? I mean, what did weddings look like then? Because back in the day, you could have a wedding in the community centre at Charnley, you know, in the Charnley Boys School, and that was fine. We would be serving, you know, there'll be a one person serving food to everybody. It was done like on from plastic plates. That culture of weddings has changed, and they've got a bit more bigger and glamorous and ostentatious. So I want to capture what the weddings looked like back in the day. If there's any photographs of that. Also, you know, the cars back in the day, like at the weddings, what did they look like? So comparing the old to the new. So, and also photographs from Azad Kashmir back, you know, in the 1960s, before you came here, of the villagers, and what that your home looked like then, what it looks like now. So there is going to be loads of things that I can explore, and it's going to be so rich, but I want it to be playful as well, because it needs to be playful. There is obviously a serious element, but I want everybody to kind of like, you know, I want a feeling of warmth when people look back, like, oh my gosh, I remember that, and it takes you back in time. The element of Vauxhall is very interesting. I have to say, there is another project that is being made specifically around Vauxhall car industries, made in Luton, made by Luton Vauxhall. So this is not a crossover project. The Vauxhall element is a tiny strand. And the reason why I felt it was significant, because the Kashmiri community, the Pakistani community, have had a big contribution to Vauxhall. The industry is obviously now gone, but we need to claim that narrative and take pride in the fact that the contributions, that we were part of it. And, you know, and that's a very significant Luton company, like the hat factory. It's an industry. And, you know, and this is where, in this present time where we are constantly being questioned, our contributions to society, where we've got this far right rhetoric of anti-immigration, and yet this industry, a lot of people came and worked here, were invited. I mean, coming to England was an invitation, historically, because of Mangla Dam, and also, you know, the relocating of families. So there's an invite to contribute to the industrial sector. So I think I'm wanting to open up, open eyes, open hearts, open minds, celebrate, also educate, and through creativity, through storytelling, through imagery, through photographs. And I hope that the community of Luton will support me in making this happen. I am a creative and cultural producer. I've got a legacy of work. I have been recognised nationally. I wouldn't have been given this opportunity if I couldn't deliver.
Yeah. Shemaza, I can see you're very passionate about this. You know, it's so lovely to hear how, especially when you are, you know, the producer behind the scenes doing everything. I think you have to have that spark, that drive behind it, because if you don't, then there's no oomph in the project, and then you don't know where it's going to go. So I can clearly see you're very passionate about this, and you're excited about the things that this is going to unfold, because as you said, it's not rigid. You know, you're leaving the parameters open for people to come in and share their journeys, because that's not dictative. Everyone's had a different experience, a different journey, and so, you know, having that exposure is nice. But from a wider perspective, you know, what's the central purpose of this project? Now, I know we've talked about language and, you know, losing that language, but, you know, what do you hope that it will achieve for the community?
I think there's two elements here. I feel pride. Pride from our community to recognize that their existence, that they have been quite an important part of the fabric of society in Luton, their contributions, but also a greater understanding from non-Kashmiris and non-South Asian communities to appreciate the legacy. So you know, I could be preaching to the preach here. I'm on Inspire FM. There is a big, strong Kashmiri makeup here on the radio station. But I also want the wider community that may not fully understand or may be influenced by stereotypes actually take a look at us with a different lens, with an open heart and appreciation.
And I think as we have, especially my generation, our generation, as we've explored other parts of the world, we're sort of losing our identity a little bit, and we're not quite sure what our actual heritage is. So we're taking a bit of other cultures. I like this, like that. I understand that they do this, and we're sort of making our own culture up in the process, and we're losing. And I think it's really important to root it back to our children and explain to them the importance of this, and linking it back to them that this is actually the root of who we are and what we've come from. You know, I'm gonna just go back to very basics here. I remember filling out the ethnicity forms, and it was just Asian Pakistani, and now if you look at the forms, they actually say Asian, you know, Kashmir. I always used to tick the other box because I wanted to be different, and I wrote I'm Kashmiri. I'm not from a Pakistani heritage. I'm from a Kashmiri heritage. And now actually I can see some forms I've actually put Kashmiri as.
I do it as well. And I'm really glad you've raised this point, because actually when I came to Luton and I went to Luton Library, Luton Central Library, this was like a good 20 years ago. And I'm like, I could not believe my eyes. There was a box that said Kashmiri on it. I'm like, yeah, you can have 3 ticks here.
Yeah.
And it made me feel so excited and so happy. But I've not seen it consistently.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you are kind of differentiating that.
Yes.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I feel that we do need to do that. And it is us.
Yeah.
And there is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, which is this is the point. I think it's growing up thinking that it's an abnormal language and it's a spoken language, it's a different culture. It's not like the traditional Pakistani culture. And I think, you know, I speak to my English friends around this, and whenever I say Kashmir, their jaw drops. Wow, you know, the mountains, the fresh spring water, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm from there. That's me. That's
we're
me.
so
you know.
exotic.
Yeah, we are. We're so natural. You know, it's you kind of have this uplift of actually I've forgotten what we should be proud of. You know, and I remember. You've got the city side of Kashmir as well, but then you've got the valleys. And I remember when we went to my dad's side in Pakistan, we were forever drinking bottled water. And then when we got there, my dad said, this is fresh spring water. You don't have to worry about bottled water. And I was really skeptical. I said, Dad, no, you know, what if we get really ill? And my dad said, trust me, I've grown up with this water. And every time I've come, this water is the best. And, you know, we drank the water and you could taste the difference. And it just felt so fresh. I thought, wow. And it was cold, even though it was just running down. You know, you think it's not going to be cold because it's so hot. This water is going to be hot. This is not going to be clean. And it was clean. It was fresh. It was so nice. And I appreciated that more because I thought, wow, we don't have to have bottled water. We can have this opened water. This is such lovely an experience that I would never have, put down to. I mean, even when you go to Pakistan in the cities, you have to have bottled water. The taps there are not, for us to drink because it's contaminated. It's got everything in it that, it's not. Okay, so going back to the show and the topic, how do you see this project contributing to the community in terms of there's a lot where I was talking to a guest a couple of weeks ago. As Kashmiris, we're quite reserved.
Yes.
We don't like to share our history and make it public knowledge. Some people have had terrible journeys coming here, and it's not something that they want to celebrate or recall or remember. So how are you going to cater for those people?
I think sensitivity and honouring people's truth and also understanding that this could open up maybe unhealed wounds, and there are grievances in the community, like every community. So it's with sensitivity and compassion, and there's no obligation for anybody to participate if they don't want to, and I'm not here to make anybody uncomfortable. So it's an open call, and come as you are. I'm here to honour your truth and navigate it accordingly to how you want to be presented, because we've always had other people sharing that narrative, and always so this is an opportunity to re-represent who we are.
So Shemaiza, believe it or not, we are now actually entering our first half of the show's come to an end. We are going over to a break now, listeners. I am joined by Shemaiza this morning, and we are talking about Kashmiri journeys to Luton. Stay tuned to hear more on this exciting project. But for now, go refill your brew and join us after a break. Assalamu alaikum.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
इंस्पायर एफएम को हमेशा आपकी मदद की जरूरत रहती है। अगर आपके पास फारिग वक्त मौजूद है, इंस्पायर एफएम की टीम में शामिल हो जाइए और कीजिए कम्युनिटी की खिदमत।
AK Windows South Limited, manufacturers and installers of high-quality UPVC windows and doors, bifold doors, composite doors, conservatories, porches, skypods, fascias, guttering, and much, much more. We specialize in double glazing and triple glazing using the best German profile. If you want quality at affordable prices, AK Windows is the place to go. If your house needs a facelift, you know who to trust. For a free quote, call AK Windows today on 01582 483 777 or visit us at Unit 10E. Britannia Estate, Leagrave Road, Luton.
How many times have you needed urgent medical supplies but don't know where to go? At Harris Pharmacy, we take pride in delivering a high-level healthcare to our community. This is why we have services such as private one-to-one consultation, free prescription ordering from GP and delivery to your home, mobility aids such as providing wheelchairs and many other items for everyday use. Call us today on free phone 0800 458 2850 to discuss your medical needs. We are open from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. Monday to Friday and 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Harris Pharmacy, 165 A/B, Dunstable Road, Luton.
Need a ride? Village Taxis has you covered. Going to the airport, station, work, hospital or school? Call Village Taxis on Luton 250 for a quick, reliable service. New drivers wanted? Get registered today and join the Village Taxis team, serving Luton, Central Beds, TfL, Wolverhampton, Hertfordshire and beyond. Taxi rental also available. Download our easy-to-use Village Taxis app or call on 01582 250 250 to book your ride today. Village Taxis, your local taxi company.
Are you looking for a prompt let and comprehensive property management by property professionals? If so, relax and let a safe registered agent take care of all your property matters. Marigold Residentials believe in 100% customer satisfaction and aim to provide quality service at very competitive prices. Why not also let us take care of your property sale? We're now a proud member of the National Association of Estate Agents. We also advertise in local papers free of charge. Visit us at 251 Dunstable Road or call us on 617 617. Terms and conditions apply.
In the time it takes to hear this ad, there will be children in Gaza who will lose their parents. But there is hope. You can make the difference. Right now, MATW is providing emergency care for over 15,000 orphans in Gaza. but we need your help to reach more. Just £10 can provide nutritious meals, clean clothes and bedding, and medical care when needed. Don't turn away from Gaza's orphans. Text orphans to 70560 to donate £10 or visit matwproject.org.uk.
Juggling too much? Trying to keep it all together without losing your mind? You deserve some me time. Join me, Neelam, on Mother's Planet every Friday at 10 o'clock on air at 105.1 FM or via our Inspire FM Facebook page. I'll be sharing tips and discussions with my guests on topics from kids, what to cook, health, well-being, and lots more for all you special mums. That's Mother's Planet every Friday from 10 a.m. only at Inspire FM 105.1 FM.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 10:30.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Mother's Planet. It's Friday, 21st of November, and the time has just gone 10:30. I'm your host, Neelam, and joining me in the show this morning is my guest, Shamiza. I feel strange saying 21st of November. It's like, where did the month go?
It's gone by super, super quick.
Super fast. That felt really strange. I mean, I think this week went super fast as well. I can't believe it's Friday. So, Shamiza, I forgot to ask you at the early part of the show. I know you've had quite an exciting week, actually. In particular, yesterday. You were quite a busy bee yesterday. So,
yes,
unfold and share.
So, I was at a panel at Soho Theatre in Walthamstow, a creative arts panel with other Muslim creatives. And the event was organised by AIWG, which is the Anti-Islamophobia Working Group. And the whole purpose of this event was to just have creative expression and community conversations around Islamophobia and how creatives have used their platforms to combat this. And I was joined by a tremendous panel of people, and it was just amazing to see the leadership of the youngsters and how they are taking up spaces and how they are moving into the realm of creativity with such confidence, with their identity intact. They know who they are. They're very confident Muslims, and they are just doing such tremendous work. And it was a really interesting panel discussion. The audience was a lot of Londoners and faces that I recognise, people that I've actually interviewed on Inspire FM, on the Arts and Culture, the Urban Cube show. And it was a full house, which was amazing. So I think what I've taken from that is, we as Muslims, or at the beginning of time, with the Prophet, peace be upon him, Islamophobia has always existed. It will continue to exist. It will always be prevalent in our lifetime, our children's lifetime, our grandchildren's lifetime, our great-grand. That's the way it is. So we've just got to accept that, not accept the narrative, but just accept that we've got to carry on doing what we're doing. So, and it really made me sit back and reflect. I do what I do because I love what I do. And being a creative and also being a broadcaster on Inspire FM and having a show like the Arts and Culture show for the Urban Cube show, that show has enabled me to learn so much about Islam. From the characteristics of the guests, from their passion, from their manners, from the way they present themselves and present their work. And I feel that for me is I obviously I'm using the platform to engage people, provide a platform for them to showcase their work, but I'm being greedy too, because it's about me. I'm gaining so much from it. And so it was a wonderful event. Shout out to Anisa Mahmood, who is the founder of the AIWG group, the Anti-Islamophobia Working Group. Shout out to Shaz, who's part of Soho Theatre. And Soho Theatre is a kind of a very established theatre. So to have it there was very, very inspiring. It's a beautiful venue.
Yeah. And, touching on that, I mean, spoken word artistry, this is the new and upcoming thing. But I've been listening to a lot of Muslim artists sharing their Islamophobic journeys, and they're doing it through spoken word. And it's amazing because it's so powerful, the things that they say and the things that they're sharing with the community or, their audience. And you don't know how much power that has,
Indeed.
and I think it's gauging the younger youth towards that outlet and saying that, as you said, this is going to go on forever. It's not something that we're going to be able to change. It's our mindset has to change. It's not let's change the world. It's actually let's change our own mindset
and not be fearful.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say that we shouldn't be worried. We shouldn't be scared. I just feel that as a community, we need to get stronger and we need to be conscientious of the fact of what's ahead of us, and also be more supportive and support organizations and support community groups and step up really and put the investment in spaces that can build confidence for our communities to contribute and safeguard. So it was a wonderful event. I feel quite privileged to have been invited and representing Luton on the panel and to be recognised for the legacy of work that I have done. And it's always a big shout out to Inspire FM. And this is what I said to the audience, that, this is a safe platform. Our stories are not given that that opportunity in the mainstream media. Let's not ignore the fact that we have community media that is specifically set up to share our voices. So let's make good use of that. So, and it always fills me with pride that it's recognized and it's appreciated, because I think sometimes we just look down our noses on things that are community led.
Yes. No, absolutely. And, it sounds like a fantastic opportunity you had there, Shamiza. So well done, for going there and putting that forward. And I guess, I don't like to admit that, I'm aging, but, our generation, to see the younger youth standing up and having that correct outlet, because, a few weeks ago I had Rihanna Fassel on the show, and we talked about when you share a piece of history with the youth, it stirs up anger and rage. So, how do you protect them to not get angry and go out there, with that anger and rage? You don't want them to have that rage. What's the outlet? So it's amazing to see that these kind of, opportunities are given to them, where they are having that outlet to speak up and raise concerns and say these are things that, we need to do and address.
So London is brilliant at providing spaces collectively and venues in hosting poetry, spoken word events. Bradford is magnificent. Bradford is even hosted Mushaira events in Paris, which is like, what?
Talk to me a bit more about this. Yeah, so
it's mind-boggling.
How did you?
So because I'm nosy and I like to do my research and see what's out there. I mean, Bradford had its City of Culture. It's presently still happening there. There's lots of events on the offshoot of that. And then Nabila Ahmed kind of has been doing a legacy of work for a good number of years. So she had set up this event which invited participants to share their poetry, and it's specifically in Bari. And but we've also had a Luton poet by the name of Fateh Khan, who's actually gone and participated in one of Nabila's events. So we have like poets in Luton that can do this. The fact is, we've always seen the older generation, not the younger generation, participating. So this is what's going to be quite groundbreaking for them to take that ownership of the language. And that she told me, she's got books published. She goes into spaces that are not the typical like community spaces. She goes into mainstream spaces like a bookstore, Waterstone's bookstore, and does the poetry reading there. And she will not explain anything in English. If you're a non-Bari speaker, you will have to listen in, ask questions after. So she's really paving the way, and she's a role model for me because, she's similar age. She's experienced the like experiences that we have had growing up. And the thing is, like Bradford and Luton, we're a similar model. similar model, that in the sense that, you know, we're always kind of looked down upon, but they are doing some phenomenal work. And she mentioned something very exciting, that I think it's the second year for them that they have, like, April the 14th is a National Bahari Mushaira Day or something.
Oh, wow.
And I think we need to do something in Luton.
Yeah.
Now, my project does end around March, April, so I'm hoping that there's an offshoot from maybe the contributions from the community that will have a live performance with the poetry shared. So it's I think she has her own in TikTok page, because I know that Brother Assam, he shared me the TikTok. He goes, oh my God, check this out, this lady's performing in Paris. I'm like, oh wow. And to have, so I felt quite in awe. I felt as if I was meeting a celebrity when she was on my show. You can listen into her interview. It is on YouTube, guys. The Inspire FM YouTube, and you can follow clips on our TikTok as well, where she's actually reciting pieces.
Oh wow, how amazing is that? Yeah, you know, again, you know, a language that we were always shy. I mean, having said that, now being older and a bit more wiser, I like to think, there are words and parts of Bahari that is, you know, used in other languages. So it's not like, you know, when we speak it, it's like this is totally not understandable. It's very much similar to Punjabi, and there are elements of Punjabi in Bahari that, you know, I've got a Sikh Punjabi friend, and I told her some words from, and she goes, oh yeah, we use that. That's a word that we use, because the dialect, the type of Punjabi that she speaks is different to the standard Punjabi. So she said, yeah, we've got that word, we use this. But my other Pakistani friend that's from Lahore that says we speak Punjabi, and that's not a word that we've got in our dialect. It was really interesting sharing and changing the words and saying, wow, I would never have imagined that I've got a Sikh Punjabi friend who's got elements of Bahari in her. So when I spoke, she said, I understand. There's parts of when you have a conversation with your mum, I've got it, I've understood. Whereas my other Pakistani friend is really struggling to try and decipher, which I thought you would have had more connection because you're Pakistani, but it was amazing. So, you know, it's not a made up language. It's a language that stemmed from other languages, and it's, you know, and it's there. So it's not like it's not going to be understood at all.
And see, Nabila, when I interviewed her, she did talk about the history behind the language, and that was fascinating. And there is a long history, and that's what I want to kind of unveil and present and showcase. And for me, it's a connection to my great grandmother or my grandmother, and they would say words that they held on to. So when those words are heard, it evokes nostalgia, and that evocative feeling is so precious. And because that is, and then those words, when our generation, it's like an inside joke, because we've heard our grandparents speaking it. But our parents may not, our grandchildren may not hear those words because our main language is English. So it's that I want to capture. And she recited this piece called Nani Nagran.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. I was sobbing.
Oh.
Because it's the memories touched so much. She actually explored that village, you know, from the clay house to the chulla, to the matke, to, like, you know, the ping and the charpai. And these are words that you and I understand because we grew up hearing them. And when we went back, because now the villages are not villages anymore, the economic growth in, say, parts of Azad Kashmir has been tremendous.
It's growing.
And those clay huts or those mud houses are very rare and few now. But now there's like big villas out there. And what I had noticed, the villas have got bigger, but the hospitality is smaller. Whereas the mitti gar, like I'm saying gar in Urdu, there was so much giving, so much love. The hospitality was so beautiful. And those memories.
I you know, it's interesting you say that. I clearly remember when my uncle got married. My uncle was my dad's youngest to get married, so we've got recollection of his wedding. And I remember my granddad coming home with really big pots, and this is in the UK, in London. You know, we'd booked out a high school wall, and my mum and my aunts and everyone just got tucked into putting the tandoori masala on the chicken.
Nice.
And and we cooked, and it was all about food. And that
Yes.
food was amazing. And I remember at the end of the wedding, the guests, as they left, they said the food was amazing. The food was amazing. And it's very unheard of now. Now you go to these weddings and it's lovely because, you're the guests, you can sit with the guests. You're not the one that's in the kitchen serving and cooking. So you can actually be a part of the wedding, but you're kind of losing that flavor of the food because dilutes it a little bit. I think that you've come, and it's almost like being in a restaurant and just having a 3-course meal and just being there. There isn't that love that there was with the wedding food.
It's interesting you say that because you're absolutely right. Is it because now we have more access to so many different cuisines, and back in the day, whilst we're growing up, takeaways and restaurants were not
limited.
We're limited, so we got the proper shadina khana, the masale, and everything. We go to a wedding, we really tucked it in, and those flavor of the spices were completely like different. And
it was
I remember
home. It felt home.
Yes,
it felt homey. Like when I go to weddings now, it's like it's a hit and miss depending on who the catering service is. Have they really used the spices correctly? And our taste palate's not. It doesn't send us back those signals that wedding food did. My husband and I still talk about it, and he says, yeah, they were the best. He goes, I remember the white sheets that we used to roll out on the tables.
This is. I really need to capture these photographs of what the wedding hall looked like back in the day, and those sheets and those plastic plates, and there will be one person who would volunteer and they'd be serving everybody,
and the guests would chip in. It wasn't like, I've come to be hosted. Actually, what would you like us to do? And and it was quite nice because I remember the women did all the background work in terms of getting the chicken marinated and everything, but I remember when it came to serving, my dad, my uncles, my dad's friends all rolled up their sleeves, and they were like, just sit down and eat, and but just round one come, and then that guest lot had eaten, so they go, sat down, be entertained.
It was a real community
and it was
effort.
It was amazing.
It was
Everyone
cheap
chipped
and
in.
cheerful, but there was elements of community and gathering. Now I just feel that essence, it's more about keeping up with the khans, really. The weddings have got bigger, grander, more expensive, and
you need to reroute
beautiful.
Them.
They are beautiful. They're gorgeous, but does it have that connection as it may have done back in the day when you went into like a community hall? But then that's like, our children in a couple of years' time will be getting married, and then like, what are we?
I mean, this younger generation, my children have already said, we've attended weddings, and they're like, we don't want big grand weddings like this. We're quite happy with having an Islamic ceremony and just going out to eat, or just calling a few people around and having a meal. And I'm hoping that the next generation will revive what we've lost, because I think somewhere along the line we lost our identity a little bit, and we didn't actually know what it was that we needed to do to keep up with the Khans or the Jones, whatever. And I think this younger generation, as you've seen, going to all these workshops and spaces, they're waking up, and they're trying to reroute their history and find themselves. And actually, there's no need. My children have said, if you're going to spend 20,000 on a wedding, I would rather you give us the cash so we could go and put it as a deposit on a house,
and that's sensible,
or go on a holiday,
because you have to be realistic. And life is hard. We've got economic struggles.
Crisis,
and it's about being sensible, really.
Absolutely.
And I think this is the beautiful thing about Islam. If you go back to the Sunnah, there is good reasoning behind that. And it's blessed, there's more barakah in something quite simple and small, indeed.
So going back to this project, because I could talk to you, Shamiza, about everything, I think. And I think we'd need more than an hour as well. So listeners, we are talking about Kashmiri Journeys to Luton, a project that Shamiza is producing. And so you've said workshops are starting in December. Talk to me about the typical workshops, where they're being held, people that wanted to get involved.
Yes.
How they can do it.
Thank you for asking. So the workshops will be held at Dallow Community Centre on a Monday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. But I will be updating times and dates. Please follow at Autonomy Audio Arts or just the Inspire FM Facebook page, because I'll be putting workshop dates on the social media of Inspire FM. If you have any questions, you can send them over to shamiza@outlook.com, and I'm happy to answer them. And there will be lots of updates on dates and times. They are free workshops. They're about 2 hours each. They'll be just like listening. I'll be listening, setting some maybe tasks, and just wanting to listen to what people have to say. And that's also an opportunity for people to drop their pictures too. And there'll be some Bari workshop, writing workshop as well, where I'm going to ask people to kind of share their expressions, but it'll be Roman English. So we'll be writing in it'll be written in English, but obviously the way we pronounce the words, because there isn't actually a written language in Bari. So it's open to all ages and experienced
creatives. And are you hoping that the younger youth wake up and come to this?
It'll be interesting. I think it'd be nice for mums to bring their children along. And I think because it's going to be, the project will end, the showcase will be around March time. So we're from now until then, I'm going to go into the community. I'm going to go to people that I know and to get that information as well. So who knows? This is the exciting element. We're talking about it now. I hope you'll invite me at the end project when we have the launch.
I would love to hear. And
what's
your vision? Well, I've got lots of stories to tell. What's your end vision? How do you see this project looking?
Okay, because I am an audio drama maker, and I would like to create an audio drama in Bari or in our language, English and Bari. And to have it maybe showcased on radio. So that's my end. That will be from the offshoot of this. I'd like the exhibition exhibited and maybe Wall Down Museum. It will be digitally archived, so there'll be a web page with the information on there. So it will have a legacy to live on, and I'd like to continue maybe using this project and aligning it with other projects around Azad Kashmir as well. I know that Birmingham, there's been projects that have been done there. Bradford, there's been projects that have done there. So hopefully this is our Luton element, and it can only happen if the community come forward. We've always been told whilst we're growing up, you should know where you come from. We were always told that you're not English, you're Kashmiri. So show me the Kashmiri side. I need you guys to do that for your children, to have this legacy. No story is too small and no story is too big. Because I'm the producer, I will navigate that. And I want those pictures of when you first arrived, from the 70s, the 80s, the 60s, up into the 90s, and now. And I want to see that timeline, And we've talked about the cricket, we've talked about the weddings, we've talked about, even what the clothing there. What was your school uniform like when you were in the 60s or 70s or 80s? It's just those little artifacts, what was life working like at Vauxhall? Do you have any pictures? Were you a bus driver? Do you have any photographs? Did you work in Woolworths, show me those photographs. I mean, a lot of this seems to be quite male centric, but I want the sisters to come forward. I want the mums to come forward. And
I mean, when my mum and dad first came here, my mum had the family, but I remember after my youngest brother was born, my mum was working. So mum was in the factories. She worked for Nissan Micra. She made wipers, and she was there. And it was her outlet. Then she went into a clothes manufacturing company, and she was working there. And I remember she used to come home with dresses, and me and my sister were in amazement, because it would be handmade woolen dresses, and they were lovely, they were amazing. And and it was nice because they used to do lots of parties and get-togethers for the women there that work there. You know, my mum really celebrated being a woman and working, so it really inspired me and my sister to do the same when we grow up. Yeah, it was lovely being part of that. So
Definitely.
you say that it's very male-centric, but actually the women in that time were able to have an outlet as well.
And
It
that's
was
why
their
it's
little,
important.
yeah, they had their little coffee mornings. My mum had a group of friends that would they'd have bring tea flasks and
Amazing.
just do it.
And that's what I want. You know, those outdoor trips.
Yeah.
Whilst I was growing up, my mum made a real concerted effort to take us out to the whatever the community groups were organising trips to the seaside.
Yeah.
Those photographs. You know, like if you have a business. Like back in the day, what did it look like? What did the hoarding, what did the signs outside look like? Did you get your videotapes? Did you hire your videotapes? You know, what did that space look like?
We don't have that now. I mean, everything's on the phone.
Indeed.
You don't have a printed version of anything now. So you know, it's nice. My children love looking at photographs because they say that everything's on the phones now. So when we see photographs, it actually feels like real history.
Nice.
And so it's quite nice.
And it is real history because it's not AI. Now everything we're going to see on
our phones, social media,
digital media was potentially going to be recreated using AI. And I will be interviewed on the Rise and Shine show as well.
Okay.
So inshallah, I will.
That.
Yeah. So any further updates I'll put on there. Please keep a lookout on Inspire FM social media to kind of get more information about the project and any updates and how to get involved. And Autonomy Audio Arts like are leading this. I'm leading this. And a big shout out to Heritage Horizons and University Bedfordshire Arts, who are kind of like behind the project, and the Heritage Fund, which have made this possible.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, and how amazing now, Shmiza, we have actually reached the end of our show. I'm so excited about this project. You know, and I can see your passion and drive around it, and I have no doubt that you're going to be able to unfold and unveil many interesting stories from the community. And I look forward to seeing the pictures because we don't see that now. So listeners, any contact details or anything that you have missed out on the show today, don't worry, I will try and get them posted onto the Inspire FM Facebook page. So do keep an eye out on all the updates around all of the events that's happening, the workshops, and everything else. So Shmiza, thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Listeners, you have been listening to Neelam on Mother's Planet only at Inspire FM 105.1 FM. Jummah Mubarak, Friday blessings. Stay safe, stay informed, and stay connected.